traffic. I write the lyrics, she made the captions. Who gon' direct you with all them theatrics? But of course, ain't that the way it's supposed to be? Supposed to be, it's supposed to be. Here with me, here with me, yeah. 'Cause you're here with me. Wait. Like New York and traffic, I make the features and do all the casting. Who gon' direct me with all these theatrics? But of course, go ahead and roll one, ain't gotta pass it. I play the role, but this ain't no acting. This show is over, but we can't be canceled. But of course, ain't that the way it's supposed to be? Supposed to be. Supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Here with me. Here with me. 'Cause you're here with me. Give me more than sex, yeah, I need to connect. Don't wanna wake up in the morning feeling sad and regretful. Don't wanna press, but when it's us, want you to make me feel special. But of course, give me more than sex, yeah, I need to connect. Don't wanna wake up in the morning feeling sad and regretful. Don't wanna press, but when it's us, want you to make me feel special. But of course, ain't that the way it's supposed to be? Supposed to be, it's supposed to be. Here with me, here with me, yeah. 'Cause you're here with me.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 3 minutes past the hour on the 12th day of July. Yours truly in the building, Joe Dupree from 100 BLK, the Black Station. And you see her, she over there looking lovely as always. My life strategist, my art therapist, my speaker, my author. Sister Jax is in the building. Good morning, Sister Jax. How you doing this morning?
What up, Joe? I'm feeling good. I'm beat down right now, a little tired, but I am feeling good. I had a
I know.
phenomenal time yesterday out with my husband. We took a little boocation just for the day and just had some time playing miniature golf, laying out on the beach, taking a nap, having a good time, and just, going out to eat, at several restaurants and just truly, truly pausing for the cause and just taking time for Black love.
That's
So,
what I'm talking about. That's what.
yeah.
Let me give a round of applause and ring the bell for Black love. I'm doing the same thing today. I'm doing a vacation today with me and my boo because tomorrow is her birthday. So
Oh,
on today, we're gonna start the celebration. And
okay.
yesterday, as you know, I made my way down to Houston, Texas. So
Yeah.
listen up, family. Before I even go into what I did in Houston, let me say the following. My prayers goes out to everyone in the Houston, Texas metroplex area, in every area that was affected by the storm that passed through Hurricane Beryl that turned into Tropical Depression Beryl.
Mhm.
There are people still there with no power, and
Wow.
it is hot as Hades in Houston.
Mm.
It is hot as Hades in Houston. So let me first give big ups to the hospital, the Texas Children's Hospital, where my grandson, Jordan Quest Anderson, is at with his mother, my daughter, Kiana Sade, and his father, Chris Lilly. I was so impressed with that hospital and the
Mm.
doctor because they have no power at their abode in Houston. So
Wow.
if they discharge my daughter and my new grandson, they have no power to go to. The doctor and the hospital said they're not discharging nobody until power is back on.
Amen. Amen.
So I
Amen.
was I was I was very very impressed with how they made it clear.
Mm.
No, they're here until we know that power is on because we're not going to let a new mother with a newborn baby go into a
Right.
environment that is not conducive for the well-being of that child. So I
Wow.
ring the bell. I
Mhm.
ring the bell and give a round of applause for Texas Children's Hospital.
Amen.
Uh, I got to see and hold my grandson.
Yes. How was it, Joe?
It's a different feeling. It's a whole
Mm.
different feeling. I am officially now a grandfather. So if and my better half always wants me never to say that I am aging, but I ain't young no more.
Mm.
When you hold a generation after the generation you created, you're not young no more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good that we're going to talk about this, especially after I consider it. Some folks consider it something good. I know Brother Fatima will be on probably in about another 10 minutes. You know, there's a time and place for everything. And sometimes you just have to admit to yourself, as much as you don't want to admit to yourself, you're not young anymore. My body
Mm.
don't move, my mind doesn't move, nor do I think the way I used to think.
Mm-hmm.
That debacle I saw yesterday on TV, that they just ended all programming to show a press conference with our president.
Mm-hmm.
I like to applaud President Biden
Mm.
and give him a bell for all the great things that he's done as vice president with
Mm-hmm.
President Barack Obama and in his 4 years as president.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's enough is enough.
Mm.
Last night, anytime that you, as the president,
Mm.
confuses the opponent with your vice president,
Wow.
enough is enough. I've
Mm-hmm.
had all I wasn't with the team for a minute.
Yeah.
He is in the green room, but I'm with the team now. I'm letting Fatim make sure he's set up and he's right, but I'm with the team now. Enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
If the Democrats do not march their ass up
Right.
to the White House and have a sit down with President Biden and tell him all the wonderful things that he's done and
Mm-hmm.
give him kudos for it, but tell him, sir, there's no way this party can move forward with a win if you are on the party ticket.
That's right.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way. I
Mm.
last night lost all confidence when you confuse your vice president with the person who's running against you.
Wow.
Houston, as they say at NASA in Houston, we have a problem.
That's right.
Shut it down. Start the countdown over. Call mission control. This rocket's not taking off.
No.
So hopefully my brother's got everything set up, and we are not who we are. In hashtag truth be told, without this brother right here. So let me bring in my brother from another mother. There he is, cowboyed out, looking like he look. Yeah, it is my brother Fatim in the building. My brother from another mother. You know him from Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton and the online open lines at WBLS 107.5. Ring the bell. It's Brother Fatim in the building.
Listen, good morning, everybody. I just popped on. I'm gonna be back on. I'm downstairs at the hotel in Baltimore, and I heard what you just said. And it's a sad reality, and that's what it's on every talk show, even on Fox News, that you confuse your vice president, Vice President Trump. I mean, I've said it. I appreciate it, Joe. I've said it before. I've seen these things. I know what's going on behind the scenes. So I just want to pop on real quick. You know, I have to go back upstairs. I have to handle some business downstairs first, and a little bit of breakfast too.
Come on now, get it.
We're gonna be down there a minute.
You know, I will definitely be back on. Sister Jax, good morning. Grand Rising, great day to you, my sister. Joe, you look wonderful, Papa Smurf, man. I call you that with admiration and out of just so much respect of being the first-time grandfather. I just know how you feel, my brother. So I just want to pop on. I'm on today, folks. I just got to go back upstairs and get on my computer. But I just want to let folks know that I'm on, and I'll be back shortly. What time is our special guest joining us?
At 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, which would be 10 o'clock Eastern time. And at the top of the hour, we'll have Dr. Griggs in the building, and we will be talking about your health is your wealth. And we'll be having some great conversation.
All right. So I'll be back on. Y'all go ahead and handle this conversation. I appreciate what you said, Joe. I'm never the one to say I told you so, not on something like this.
No, you told me. Hold it. I'm going to take it like a man. You told me so. I just was trying to keep hope alive. I did, Jesse. I tried to keep hope alive. But guess what? Houston, shut down the countdown, move the rocket off the pad, get another rocket on the pad. This rocket takeoff is going to be utter chaos and destruction. We're about to have another devastating takeoff where the rocket explodes midair. No, you got to move that rocket off the pad.
So I appreciate that, Joe, and I appreciate you doing that. But the next time, to really impress me, when I'm righting you wrong, you got to wear a cowboy shirt for the whole show. That's all I'm gonna say. All right.
Okay. We're gonna make that bet, because if I'm righting you wrong, we're gonna have you in some
I'll get a Steelers shirt. I'll get a Steelers shirt.
Okay.
Matter of fact, next week I'm gonna buy the Steelers shirt, so I have it in my closet.
I'm gonna get my cowboy shirt ready. Yes, sir.
All right. I'll see y'all shortly. Okay.
All right, brother.
Enjoy them waffles. Save me one.
Little something. One of my cousins is down here over there doing dilly-dallying over there or something. Here she comes. Wait a minute. Come here, Julie.
Who is it, Debbie?
No, you got to come right here real quick. This is my cousin, Julie. You going on... she ain't dressed.
Good morning.
That's one of my cousins. She said, I ain't made up. Yeah, I put them on. I'll put them on.
Look at him.
She's still cute. She's still cute, Julie.
That's my baby cousin. Grown woman, but my baby cousin.
Yeah.
This is a house. I don't know what to tell y'all. Don't eat meat and drink milk or dairy. I don't know where you get that body from, Lord. But anyway, I'll be back later, okay?
Okay.
Get gone, Cowboy fan. Get gone.
That's
Listen,
right.
Jax, I sit and watch this last night, and I was like, oh my God. I was, oh my God, for many reasons. Number one, you want to remember the best of a person.
Yeah.
And once again, if we go back even through the Barack Obama years, Joe Biden was really a great guy. He was a great vice president. You know, of course, there's some legislation out there that people talk about that say, they say, well, Joe Biden wasn't our guy. Let's just be real about it. Everybody can find something about somebody to point out where somebody has made a mistake. Nobody's perfect. But last night just put the nail in the coffin for me. that
Yeah.
we need a better candidate. And if the ticket is Biden Harris against Trump and whoever, it's not going to win.
Yeah.
So, you
Mhm.
know, and I'm not convinced that President Trump is going to do what's right by America for 4 years,
Oh
especially
no.
it being his last 4 years, especially with all the legal trouble that he's in. I see the destruction of our justice system as we know it. You know, that the point is folks will say, okay, we got a felon that's the president, and you saying felons can't vote. So you know, I
Yeah.
just see I
The
see
irony.
I see the utter destruction of our justice system as we know it. And I do not believe in any shape, form, or fashion that a President Donald Trump for a second term, with everything that he has said and committed to doing, if he gets back into the presidency, would be good for this country or good for us as citizens. I'm just
Mhm.
saying what I got to say. And on the other side of it, I do not see in any shape, form, or fashion President Joe Biden running for president and winning. So the
Yeah.
Democrats have to find somebody else to take his place if they even think they have half a chance to win this election.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, we are in for utter destruction. You know, it's really sad and scary. It's horrific. But we knew this time was coming. It was even prophesied that this time was coming. And like I said a few weeks ago, Biden reminded me during that debate of an old man trying to find his way to his car, leaving the grocery store. You know, just confused and baffled, and you know, which way do I go? Which way is it? What store am I in? Am I in the store? Like, where am I? Like, it's terrible. And you know what? We could all face cognitive decline. Like, I know I
Come
already have
on,
some cognitive
come on,
decline.
come on.
So, you know, a lot of people like to judge and throw stones, but guess what? We're all just a moment away from a cognitive decline issue, you know? So I do still have some, you know, empathy and some sympathy and compassion for him, but enough's enough. You
And,
know,
and
enough's
we
enough.
and we have to look at and I tell people this. We have to look at the policies of the
Mhm,
parties that
mhm,
are represented.
mhm.
Now listen to what I just said. Not the person, but the policies of the party that is represented. You can't always look at the person because people will say a lot of things but vote totally different. And
Yeah,
that's why I say when it comes to politicians, you got to watch the policies that they put out there and how they're voting because they will look you dead in the eye and tell you, "Oh, I'm for poor folks," and vote for a policy that is
yeah,
unconditionally against poverty. They
yeah.
will look you in the face and say, "Oh, I'm for the working
Mhm,
class people," but put in policies and taxes and put
mhm.
in other things that don't match their conversation. So
Yeah.
don't watch what they say, watch
Mhm.
what they
Very true.
do. And that
Mhm.
is our biggest problem. The propaganda machine has us watching what they say, but
Yeah.
has us not paying any attention to the policies and how those policies are hurting, especially Black and brown folks. As I tell people, if it's
Mhm.
bad in Houston right now for people who are non-melanated, multiply that times 10. That's what it
Yeah.
is for people who are melanated.
Yeah.
Right now, they got horrible conditions in Houston, millions of folks out of power. They need the federal and the local and the state government
Yeah.
all working in conjunction to help the Houstonians who are there going through these terrible times. And at the end of the day, let me say this: government is important in situations like this. You can
Mhm.
talk smaller government all you want to, but it
Mhm.
is times like this you need to have the government that you have paid your hard-earned taxes to understand. If you would sit down right now and Google how many
Mhm.
taxes you pay, how much of your hard-earned money goes to local government, state government, and federal government. That's why you need
Mhm.
individuals in those departments who know how to manage that money and get it back to you in times of need. I'm
That's right.
telling y'all, it's time for y'all to wake up, Sister Jax.
Yeah, no, it definitely is time to wake up. And it's just so sad when you look at like one of the most powerful countries on the face of the earth that these are our two options. You know, these are our two options to lead our country. It's insane. It is so insane. So, I mean, we just got to get ready, y'all. We got to get ready. We keep thinking it's a joke. And when policy, like you say, when these policies start changing, a lot of these policies are pro poverty. You
Right.
know, it's pro-poverty. And guess what? Many of us are one paycheck away from poverty or in poverty or just stepped out of poverty. But guess what? The way it's looking now, we don't get our houses and home and our lives in order, we're gonna be back in poverty or deeper in the
Right.
thralls of poverty.
Understand these policies. And once again, I'm not talking about a person. So y'all can go ahead and rant all you want to in the chat about Biden's performance and President Trump's performance. I'm not talking persons. I'm
Mhm.
talking pure policies. The policies and the parties behind the policies, and how these policies, even though the rhetoric of the propaganda machine will make you feel like, oh, they're for you, the working person. Well, if you for me, the working person, why are you passing policies that make my taxes higher?
Yep.
Why are you passing policies that make it harder for me to compete in the workplace or to even get a job? Sometimes we have to get to the place where we observe the policies and say, how are these people voting and who is affected by these policies and who wins and who loses? Understand the working class has forever and a day in this country been the donkeys,
Yeah.
the workload managers of this society. The poor stays poor, the
Yeah.
rich get richer, and the working class carries the brunt of everything that has to happen.
That's
When will
right.
we get, and I'm going to digress to you, when will we get, since everybody's talking in the chat, and thank you for everybody who's in the chat, thank you for everybody who's logging on, please click like and share. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. But when are we going to get a do-right party? Not a Republican party, not a Democratic party, but a party that does right by the people and the citizens of this country as a whole. When are we going to be all looked at as citizens of this country, regardless of our religion, regardless of where we stand in certain areas, regardless of our social economics, regardless of our color? When will we have people who are in places that make policies that the policies does right by the people of this country? I
Absolutely.
digress.
And you know what? I honestly don't see it happening anytime soon, or maybe not even in our lifetime, unfortunately. You know, because once Trump gets in, Eddie Bonnet is talking about the Democratic Party wants government dependency. I do agree with that in a whole bunch of ways, right?
So does the Republican. So not only the Democrat, the Republicans do too. They might not say they do, but their policies say they do.
Yeah, but you know what? I think in some ways the Republicans, if anything, kind of want you to stand up more on your own and find your own way and carve your own path, right? Even though we know a lot of the Republicans, their path has been carved because of what their ancestors did to our ancestors that helps to get them in position. But it seems like in some ways, like the Republicans, I mean, they're both a mess. Just straight up, they're both.
Hold it. Brother Fatim says it best. If the Republicans are robbing the bank, the Democrats are driving the getaway car. So
Yeah, exactly.
both parties, like I said, the propaganda machine. And last night, because of a lot of calls I was getting from all over the place, I had the last night, and really, I got a great call from a great person who's actually a Republican strategist who said the following thing to me. Have you ever once, Joe, looked at the policies? Even that person told me, I have said many a times to my party, which this person is a strategist for the Republican Party, our policies are not conducive to Black and brown folks. And we need to change that, where we can bring them under this umbrella, where we can get more support from them to understand. Understand it's not about a person, and it's really not about a party. It's about the policies and how those policies affect you in everyday life. You talk inflation, you talk gas prices, you talk school, you talk your views on religion and how religion needs to be pushed into public space, or non-religion being pushed into public space, or your freedom of speech in the public space, or your right to be who you choose to be. All of that is controlled by policy. And those policies, we've been talking wrong on this show. I've been talking wrong. And I need to apologize to everybody on here, because we've been focusing in on people. We've been focusing on Biden and Trump. No, I'm focusing in now. I am laser focused until this election on what policies have you put into law that affects my everyday life, because it is those It is those laws and policies. And understand this, both sides have put in some funky laws that ain't helped us.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I mean, and they're going to continue to do that, you know, and the less politically savvy we are, the less knowledgeable, the less unity that we have, because they know that was part of the plan to make sure that we're disenfranchised, to scatter us, to break us apart, to break down the homes. Because, like, you know, you keep playing Killer Mike when, you know, when he mentioned on the BET Awards about, you know, he's one half of the Black family, you know, so that was part of the plight from way back when they tried to, and they were successful in doing it in many, many ways, break up the home. So when you can remove the father from the home, cause division amongst the family, it's easier to take us down that way. But when you have that strong man, that strong woman, and your kids under one roof, you know, doing what you got to do, you can't stop us at that point, especially when you have God at the forefront. It's no stopping us. But when you take away God, you take away the man out of the home. You know, you teach all these women it's okay to be ratchet and show all your goodies to everybody walking down the street. It's a problem. And then you got a nerve to put drugs in the community. You know, then you have redlining and
hey, we say that. We say that. We have a caller, Sister Jax. Caller,
yes.
I hope I have you plugged in. Caller, welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, question or comment. Let's see, do we have them? No, we may not have them. Hold on. Caller, do we have you? Do we have you? Okay.
Good morning. This is Davis K. Martinez in Lafayette. I want to talk to you and your listeners. This is an important topic. Definitely just want to chime in. I read something this morning that speaks directly to what you're saying, you and Sister Jax. So I just want to read what she wrote because it really speaks to this whole issue. It goes, you and I have no influence over Joe Biden. There are only about a half dozen people who have true leverage. Let them do their work, which includes data gathering and legal research that we cannot do. It should be all our jobs to turn our fire on the one person who will destroy our people, destroy our country, destroy our allies and our planet. Every day, we should be making the best possible use of our limited time between now and voting to make sure everybody knows about the existential threat of Donald Trump, Project 2025, and Agenda 47, which is a companion piece of Project 2025. The convention is coming. We have work to do. You know, we should be focused on dealing with just what you said, the policies that's in front of us that are affecting our people, and speaking to folks in our span of influence to give them the knowledge to make sure that they vote. I just wanted to share that. I thought it was important because nothing that we post will impact who's on top of the Democratic ticket. And every day that we're playing this game about who should be on top is a day that we're not directing our fire through the threat that we have on us and our planet, and that's Donald Trump. So we need to redirect is the word that I want to put in the atmosphere, is redirect. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Listen, you're welcome to call in just like him. The number is 225-250-8770. I see in the chat we have some people who are strong supporters of former President Trump that say, what? Donald Trump will destroy the planet. Listen, I'm going to say this off top, and I don't want nobody to confuse what I'm saying. I am here to get you engaged, to get you informed, to get you registered, and to get you to go vote. You have to figure out what issues are important to you. Once again, we need a do-right party. Everybody talks about independents, Republicans, and Democrats. Screw all of them. I want a do-right party. To be exact, I start today on this podcast at 27 minutes past the hour. Just like they came out with the Tea Party, I put in right now, we need a do-right party. The party name need to be do-right. And their whole premises should be, we are not Republican, Democrat, or independent, but we will do right by you and the people of this country every day.
That's right.
Because what we have is too many people who are talking loud and saying nothing.
That's right. That's right.
We got a lot of hot air out there. And the truth about it is, when the policies dwindle down, the people who suffer are you and I. So right now, I proclaim that we need a do-right party. I could care less about Republican, Democrat, or independent. The word that's going to come out of my mouth every time we get into a conversation about politics are you doing right? Are you doing right by my people? Are you doing right by this country? Are you doing right by your fellow citizens? If you are not the party I want to represent. And I will not and shall not uphold myself to any party if they're not doing right. Period.
That's right. That's right, Joe. And I love that. And you know what? A friend of mine, she's from the Caucasian persuasion, but I've known her from probably since I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. And she actually did a post yesterday. She says the Heritage Foundation is intentionally shuffling page numbers on Project 2025 so they can tell people those citing the document are lying to you. This is intentional and dangerous. If your posts about Project 2025 are being flagged for misinformation, this might be why. And then her friends that look like her in the chat are all kind of chiming in, basically saying the same thing.
Listen.
Yep, they're saying the same thing. So they say, they are constantly updating the name of the report for the same reason.
Come on. So, melanated folks, non-melanated folks, we got to get to the part where you have to say to yourself this. If right now, either one of us, black, white, green, blue, purple with antennas on the head, if you were human and you were born human, if you came to this world of a birth of a woman and I cut you, you're going to bleed red. And until we start looking at each other as equal human beings, that's where the Do-Right Party got to come in. You got to look at folks as equal human beings who were endowed by their creator with a choice. Let me say that again. I didn't cite the Constitution. I cited Bible. Until you look at everybody as a human being who has been born of this planet and endowed by their creator with a choice, me and you ain't the same. You're not like me. You're not like us, because I'm at a place where my God gave me certain irrevocable rights. And because my God gave me those irrevocable rights, you can't revoke those rights on me. And as long as you try to push whatever humanistic paper or document you want to push on me, if that document violates the law of the one who created me, I have a problem. We got to do right. Listen, hold it. We need to bring your boy Do Right on here. We got to do right. I need the Do Right Party. Do right.
But you know what, Joe? We're never going to be equal. And even as Black folks, I don't even think we should be fighting for equality, trying to, scrape up the hill to try to be like, I'm the same as you, I'm equal as you. Yeah, of course we're humans. But when you think about it, Joe, back in the day, Black folks, we were thriving, right? Before we even came, we had the indigenous people still in this country before they were taken over, by the oppressors and brutally murdered and savagely, beaten and raped and all that stuff. But even, where we came from, for the most part in Africa, we were in a position where we were the greatest people to walk the face of the earth. And that's even in scripture. You know what I'm saying? So we had our businesses, we had our educational, systems that we had back then. We had our schools of higher thought and knowledge. We had universities back then. We had everything we needed. We had thriving communities. But as soon as we worry about all this, integration and trying to fight for equality, trying to prove ourselves to someone, when God already told us we're the greatest people to walk the face of the earth, that's when the greatest decline came to humanity. So I mean, it's nothing wrong with loving, others and, being respectful to one another, but we are the greatest people, but we've come so far from that we don't even realize it. Right. So that's why the wool is able to be pulled over our eyes so often. That's why we're able to be so codependent upon the system to care for us, because we've been so brainwashed over these years to think that, we're nothing if we don't live in that gated community or that nice neighborhood, or if our kids can't go to school with kids that look nothing like them. We feel like that is the only option, where instead of looking at that as the only option, let's look into how can we get all these educated Black minds together to build our own schools to then educate and teach our children the true history, not the history from his story, that they told, because the story is always told by the one who won the damn game, basically. Right. So now we need to be the ones to go back and retell it with the truth and the facts. Right. And not just be always taken advantage of and lied to and just falling for it, and like the Bible says, a gift destroyeth the heart. So if they continue to quote unquote give us gifts or give us all this type of assistance, we then feel like we owe them something, or like, oh, Massa helped me out. Massa had my back. So now you're going to keep on taking whatever you can get. And when Project 2025 and everything else comes about, and all these resources are done, even with the veterans, people don't even realize what Project 2025 is going to do to veteran benefits. You know what I'm saying? So people are going to be screwed left and right. So take care of your home and your kids and do what the hell you got to do.
Watch this. Once again, let me talk policy here in the state of Louisiana, in the state that I live in. Let me give you a prime example right here in the city I live in, which is Lafayette, Louisiana. Folks, rally behind the governor that we have in place. We have a Republican governor, Jeff Landry.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm talking is factual and actual. Jeff Landry, due to policies that he felt did not deem worthy, and because of Catholic Charities arm that they have that helps immigrants, he pulled $1 million of their funding out. Catholic Charities. Now, mind you, most of the people who voted him in office are non-melanated Catholic folks. He still pulled that $1 million away from Catholic Charities and from this area. Now, Catholic Charities put out there, wait a minute, a lot of this we use to help homeless veterans. Once again, don't watch what they say, watch what they do, and watch how the policies that they put in place and how the stroke of the pen or a provision of pulling funding or giving funding, what it does to your area and to the people that are connected in your area. At the end of the day, family, we need people to do right. It wasn't that much. $1 million worth of funding in the big scheme of things, when you look at federal funding or state funding, it's really not a lot. But it makes a lot of difference to a charity that is needing that $1 million to be a part of their operational budget. So once again, watch what I'm saying. Non-melanated Catholics voted this man in, but his policies pulled $1 million, which it will affect the non-melanated community here in Lafayette, but you can times it times 20. That's how much more it's going to affect the melanated population here in Lafayette. So $1 million now has been pulled away from this community by a Republican governor, a Republican Congress, and a Republican Senate, because he said there is wording in there that makes it that this charity helps immigrants, and he doesn't want our hard-earned tax money to go toward immigrants. So hold on, hold it. We can't now. Don't go back and start. See, Brother Barnett, I'm gonna call you out, brother. Don't go in the chat talking about what Bell Edwards did. We talk. Please address what I just said, and don't go back talking about something else, because John Bell Edwards is not our governor right now. We talking about the governor that's in place. I ain't talking about what happened, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm talking about right here, right now. So if you can't talk about here and now, please be quiet. Please be quiet, because right here, right now, that's what just happened. $1 million worth of funding got pulled from this place by a Republican governor with a Republican Senate that you probably voted for. You didn't vote for Sean. You didn't vote for the Black Democratic person that ran for governor. You didn't vote for Sean Wilson. I did. Sean didn't win. Now the winner, hold it, to the victors go the spoils. So now some of our former veteran buddies who are homeless, not due to their own, but due to circumstances and situations, now don't have funding that was being funded and funneled through Catholic Charities to help them. At the end of the day, don't watch what they say, watch what they do. I digress. Sister Jax.
That's right. And you know what? I'm looking in the chat. Eddie Bonnet also said, Sister Jax is totally right. We have all we need to be self-sufficient people. Stop depending on the government. And KC says, so y'all are opposed to government programs that feed the poor? I'm confused. So for me, personally, I'm definitely not opposed to those government programs that help feed the poor. Not at all. But at the same token, we have to get into a position where we can still learn how to fish and feed ourselves by any means necessary. So yes, we were oppressed. We were, distressed. We're all full of trauma. And some of us have horrible past, but we can still go to the library. We can still look up things on our cell phone. We can still find ways to have ingenuity to try to grow, to become more self-reliant. Because guess what? If the government does stop tomorrow, say, you know what, there's a government freeze. WIC is on hold, food stamps is on hold, all that stuff is on hold. Then what? You know what I'm saying? Then what is the thing? And if you think about it, the way God put this whole earth together, everything should be free, basically, right? So I thought about it even yesterday down at the beach. The beach is sand and water, and it should be free. But guess what? You still got to pay to go on it, right? Water should be free, but guess what? I got to pay a water bill each month. Or if I want a bottle of water, I still have to pay for that bottle of water, right? So many things. Fruits and vegetables should just grow outside plentiful, but we still have to pay for it. Yeah, might have somebody harvesting it and all that kind of stuff, but everything that's put here was free. But once the government gets their hands on it and finds a way to try to monetize it, now we're charged for it. But everything should be free.
And understand this once again. And I'll say this out of a loving heart to Brother Barnett. I love Brother Eddie. Brother Eddie, I ain't trying to be right. I'm just speaking from the heart. And the heart says the following. It appears that you want some righteousness in this thing. There is policies that John Bell Edwards did that did not help us in any shape, form, or fashion. Government, no matter who's in power, Democrat or Republican, there are always policies that are put in place to help friends, family, those they are connected to that has absolutely no connection to us, the people who voted them in, that do not benefit us in one shape, form, or fashion. As I said before, this is not a Democrat, Republican, or independent thing. This is a do-right thing. I'm at a new place in my grandfatherly wisdom. It ain't about party. It's about the people. And if you're not about the people for real, that rhetoric and propaganda that you're pushing that makes it seem like you're about the people, but your policies don't reflect the people that you say you represent, you are not one of us. And I do not stand with you. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. Are you doing right? I stand 10 toes down on that. You will hear me say that from now on. I could care less of the party. Are you doing right by the people? And if not, you're not one of us, period. It's not about me being right. It's about you doing right by the people. Yeah.
You know, you're right. And Eddie also says these people, depending on government, will lose their minds. And then he goes in to say, I'm not oppressed. And you are not oppressed. And KC says that doesn't mean people don't need help. What will y'all as Jesus do? So it's interesting because we still are oppressed. We are not free in this society, no matter how much we truly think we are free and we're not oppressed. There are other forces that are attempting to continue to oppress us, right? So we still have to look at our mindset. We have to change the way we think, just like in therapy and psychology. Change the way you think, you can change the way you feel, right? But we still don't have the freedom and liberties technically as some others, like you say, Joe, some non-melanated. So if we don't have some of those same freedoms and liberties, yeah, we are still oppressed. We still, in certain areas, you still cannot go out and purchase a home. You can't get that business loan that you would like to get sometimes that somebody else, could just walk into. You could take a white man that's a crackhead, throw a suit on him, and he has a greater chance of going into a bank and getting a business loan than you with the whole college degree.
Preach.
So it's a difference. So if we're living in that type of society, yeah, bro, we still are oppressed, unfortunately. And I mean, and to KC's point about what would y'all Jesus do? Jesus, he wasn't even into all of that type of stuff, right? He's about following his laws, taking care of your family, taking care of your community, doing what you have to do, having the power within yourself to make the next steps that you need to do to thrive and survive and to make it to the kingdom one day. He's not worried about all this other political stuff. And like you said before, Joe, on the show, some of these other races, some of the Asians, Indians, all these other people that are in America, they don't really give a damn about what the government policies say. They say, I'm making money. I'm sending it back to my country. I'm building another home in my country. I'm having other businesses set up in my country. I'm taking care of my kids and my household. And that's the same mindset we need to have. We get so consumed with whatever is going on in the government and the policies and the politics, but we just got to govern ourselves. Once we learn how to govern ourselves better, who gives a damn with what all the other crazy stuff happens?
So I'm gonna base this off of this, and I can't wait till Brother Fatim makes his way in. But I'm gonna base it off of two things. Brother Eddie made a comment, and I'm gonna respond to that comment. A non-melanated theologian friend of mine called me and said the following, and I want y'all to listen to this because I'm gonna say it as slow as I possibly can because I didn't catch it until an hour into the conversation after he said it. if you have to choose between the lesser of two evils, you're still choosing evil. I didn't catch that. It took an hour into the conversation. I said, hey, man, it just hit me. Say that again. He said, say what? I said, what you said at the beginning of the conversation about the lesser of two evils. He said, if you have to choose between the lesser of two evils, you're still choosing evil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He said something else that goes right to what Brother Barnett says. And I'm going to put the comment up here where y'all can see it. Brother Barnett said, Don Lemon says he's oppressed in the USA where he's worth $13 million and gay. Make that make sense. Okay. My non-melanated Caucasian theologian friend said the following. Stop basing the blessings, the hand, and the move of God on materialistic things. People who are completely evil and have no moral compass or no spiritual bearing are millionaires and billionaires. The blessings of God, the Bible says, maketh one rich. Understand this, you base that richness off of materialistic things when you can be rich physically and by man's standards, but be completely bankrupt by the standards of the Almighty.
Absolutely.
Jesus said it best when you brought it up, when somebody said, what would Jesus do? Jesus made a simple statement in the Bible. It's in red. It was his words.
Yep.
Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Render unto God what is God's. Easy. What is man's? Let man. Hey, I gave man dominion, choice, and rule over certain things.
Yep.
Doesn't mean he gonna get it right every time, but render unto him what is his. But render unto me what is mine. Come on, family. We got to wake up. And always putting this, what if was a fifth, we all be drunk. We got to talk about what is. I ain't talking about what if. I'm talking about what is. What is? What is? Hold on. What is? I am not poor. However, I am not by physical or by manly terms wealthy. I am the working middle class. And there is more burden on me than there are individuals who are multimillionaires. There is more burden on me than there are people who are totally dependent on the government. I am the workhorse of this society, of this, and those who are like-minded like me. There are those out there. Listen, if you're between 30,000, if you're making between 30,000 and 125,000, welcome to being a person who's working. You working. And listen, from 30,000 to 125,000, you are working.
Yeah.
You are working. You're not wealthy. You might be better off if you're close to that 125,000, but you are still working. You can't sit down and say, I can't go to work today.
That's right.
You can't sit down and say, no, I'm just going to let a couple of weeks go by and not do nothing. And listen, if you're making $30,000, you are the working poor. That's why I speak on here. Y'all talking, y'all let the propaganda machine pump y'all up. Oh, we need to raise the minimum wage. I don't give a damn about them raising the minimum wage, because I'm smart enough to know that when they raise the minimum wage, they also raise the price of everything. So actually, they didn't raise nothing. You got to give us a living wage. You got to, let me use my favorite word again, do right. Come on, family. Wake up with this rhetoric and stop letting the propaganda machine tell you. If the propaganda machine jumped out right now and told half of y'all ain't black, half of y'all be running around talking about on social media, they just proved that we ain't black.
Yeah.
We ain't black. Come on, man. Stop that.
And you know what?
Go ahead.
It's not going to be a do right party, because this system is not set up on doing right. This system was built off of robbery, trickery, killing, pillaging, you know what I'm saying? So the people who created this whole government and this whole system, they weren't right. So if the head ain't right, the body ain't going to be right. So no matter how we try to slice, dice it, or wish for it, it's not going to happen. And to go with your other comments, it takes me back to what I read yesterday in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel 2:6-9, where I read about how the Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. Verse 7 goes into saying, the Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill to set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. So even looking at that scripture, it's showing you right there. He could make sure that we become rich or make sure that we become poor. He knows some folks, he bless them and makes them become rich. He knows exactly the wrong that they're going to do with this. So he'd rather keep them poor or in a lower estate rather than raising them up to be that way and vice versa. Go ahead, Joe.
Amen. So it is 11 minutes to the top of the hour. I want to take time out and do this. Listen, family, we are broadcasting live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. Now, I want to bring up a good friend of mine who's local, but he is worldwide. That is DJ Carl T and Down South Radio. I'm going to be promoting Down South Radio on this platform. Y'all definitely need to listen in. My brother is doing great things. We're going to start promoting other podcasts, other influencers, and other digital radio stations, because we got a coalition of guys out there like myself with 100 BLK. We're off the grid. We're not regulated by the FCC. We have created our own thing to give you what you need, because we're not dependent on the regulations of government, and we want to be free-minded, free speech folks. That I came together with the blessings of the Lord with Sister Jackson, Brother Fatim, to tell you it's time to think, not how to think, not what to think. That it's time to think, and we have our views. Doesn't mean you're going to agree with our views, but in the process of hearing our views, maybe that starts a thought process in you, that you begin to think, research, and find views that is your views, that you can own, that your voice can be heard and say, these are my views. This is what I stand 10 toes down.
Yeah,
we're here to help you begin the process of thinking. Too many times we're not thinking, nor do we have a vision. I am of the complete mindset, and this is only my humble opinion. It's not that melanated Black and brown folks aren't intelligent. It's not that we're not smart. It's not that we're not educated. And even though some of us are self-educated, not institutionally educated, it's that many of us have not a vision past today. We can't see past today. If I ask you, where do you see yourself 5 years from today, 10 years from today, you don't have an answer. And the word of the Most High say, we perish for a lack of knowledge and because we don't have a vision. You need to always know that you today are only paving the way for where you and your future generations will be 5 and 10 years down the road.
Yeah. And you know what, Joe, and that's great words, but we also have to think how our people think sometimes. We can't even think past Friday. It's Monday.
Come on.
We can't even think or plan past Friday what we need to do to prepare for next week. Let alone plan for years. We have to become a more organized people. We have to become a more disciplined people and focus and have vision. Even when I'm talking about, life skills, you have to have a vision. First, it starts with a vision, right? Then once you have a vision, you have to create a plan. And once you create a plan, you have to put forth action. And once you put forth action, then you can have success. But without that sequence, it's not going to work. And in my life, of course, I put the Most High first for me to help me, filter through the next things I need to get through. And the times that I don't put the Most High first and lean on my own understanding and do whatever Jax wants to do, you best believe it's going to crumble. It's going to crumble. So for me, I've learned how I have to submit. I have to surrender and, and accept and understand. I don't know all the right ways. Not at all. I'm learning every day, just like you guys are on here watching us and learning or agreeing or disagreeing. I'm in other spaces learning so that I can grow and expand my mind and just be a better person, and when you think about it, with this whole governmental thing going on now, imagine if you got accepted to a school or your child got accepted to a college, right? They got accepted. You're excited. You got everything ready for the dorm. They're ready to move in. They know the career path they want to take. And now the college burns down. Or now the school goes bankrupt. And now it's like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? Now is what we have to worry about and figure out what plan are we going to put in place should the government get shut down in a few more months. Should our resources be gone? Should our Section 8 list get shut down? Should our affordable housing get shut down? Should our food stamps get shut down? Should, our healthcare get shut down? What are we going to do? So it's the same exact thing. Just like you would now have to pivot and find another school to get your child into, or say, you know what, let's homeschool. You're in college, but let's still try to homeschool or take some online classes, or you got to figure out another way. We can't wait till the end. So right now, we already know it's impending doom, essentially. So what are we going to do to prepare for our future should all of that stuff get shut down? We can't wait till it's shut down to then figure it out. So if you have to try to stockpile some of your medications in some way, or stockpile or have a food pantry and not be so wasteful or not be so gluttonous, at the same token, we have to start to be prepared now, because we know what the hell's about to jump off.
Yeah, that's very true. In the green room, I see Brother Fatim, and of course, at the top of the hour, we will have Dr. Griggs coming in, where we will talk about your health is your wealth and many other things. But I wanted to put out there, we are live on Instagram at the JDMS. We're also on YouTube at 100 BLK Media. You can watch this episode and all the other episodes from the conception of hashtag Truth Be Told. So we've been doing this thing now. We're going on 6 months. So, and we just came back from the Essence Music Festival of Culture. We're bringing a lot of great guests, a lot of great content in from that. And I would be remiss to bring my brother, who once again, I've got to give a bell and a round of applause for, because he was absolutely right. I was absolutely in La La Land, keeping hope alive, like my name was Jesse Jackson. But it's Brother Fatim. And Brother Fatim, if you want me to, because of my wrongness about our president, who I think is still a great president. I think he's did great things, but his time is up. I will wear a cowboy shirt next week on this show. I promise you I will.
Nah, you ain't got to wear it yet. You know, my thing is we got to the Democrats really got to get this together, and unfortunately, and I got to kill something. Unfortunately, if there's certain things that when you was privy to the conversation that I was privy to last Sunday in New Orleans, unfortunately, certain things is just going to have to be known, and has to be done. I think Trump he's definitely not prepared to debate and go up against Vice President Kamala Harris if she becomes that nominee for the Democratic Party. And at first, even my co-host on my open line show, Jennifer Jones-Austin, talks about is Vice President Kamala Harris electable. It's not about being electable. It's about if you believed in the Biden administration and the things that they're doing. I do agree with the president that the president does have things that he would like to finish. And we cannot skip over Vice President Kamala Harris. She's been in the background. A lot of people say this and that, but she's been in the background, which is a lot of vice presidents have been. But I think that the policies that he wanted to that he's been able to get through, that he wants to finally get through. Yeah, she forgot to mute.
Yeah. Them allergies. You
forgot to mute him. Oh God, this is a comedy show. I swear to God.
Oh, can I unmute her? Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
You already heard you done blow your horn.
You sounded like
Gabriel. I thought Gabriel came.
We're gonna call her sister. We're gonna call her Sister Snuffleupagus.
But Trump. Anytime he's scared of anything, or he's not knowledgeable about anything, he's going to try to talk his way out of it, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. So the Democrats has to come up with a strategy. This is not we can't look like a car is running down a hill and there's no one behind the wheel. So we as the Democratic Party, and we're not power brokers. We're just those that stand up with the Democratic Party. We can call them out, but we support them. And if that's the way we're moving, because we're not moving in the direction of a Trump, you understand? I could see if there was another Republican candidate that was making some kind of headway, I could stomach it. But the policies, the Project 2025, and other things that we've seen Donald Trump done in the past, we can't go there. I don't. Those that are supporting him, fine, stand up. I'm not trying to change your mind because we're not going to change your mind, and that's cool. I'm not trying to change your mind, but what I'm trying to say is just like when you got issues, you guys don't call it out. You have a convicted felon. You understand? You have a convicted, but you worry about your end. We'll worry about our end. Our end right now is to get our ticket in order. Our ticket is not solidified. And for Biden, I don't want to get up there, and I watched the talking heads last night and this morning. What did they say? Oh, well, it wasn't as bad as the debate, but nothing. But nothing.
It was
Again,
horrible.
Hillary Clinton
horrible.
said, she said, it's like, I see them comparing. It's like taking the keys from your grandfather. Hillary Clinton, damn right, is like taking the keys from my grandfather. Yes. Damn right. Yes. We're taking the nuclear codes from my grandfather right now. I think that's a little bit more dangerous. You understand?
Mm-hmm. So here's what I want to do is we get ready, prepared. It's the top of the hour. I know Brother Griggs is going to be coming in. Brother Guidry, we're going to take your call a little bit later. But here's what I want to do before we even go there. And I'll be bringing in, be exact. Let me do this. Let me go here. Brother Guidry, I see that you called in. Welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. Go ahead with your question or your comment. Floor is yours.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just was listening to the show. Joe, you say you've been at it for 6 months, with the last few months focusing on the presidential election. It's like all of America. I can speak for myself, but like some of Americans, we sick of it, bro. We sick of the presidential race dividing us among color lines. And I'm just sick of it, bro. I hate both candidates. Both aren't good for the job. Like you said, Joe, I digress, man. I don't even think I'm voting. Good morning, America. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Well, hold on, brother. I need you to hold tight. You got to take a stance on one way or the other. Like I said some things earlier, and I stand 10 toes down on it. I'm not going to keep talking about the persons. I'm going to talk about the policies and how those policies, yes. And I don't care which party, just like right now, as much as I am connected to and know folks with our governor, Jeff Landry, that removing of the $1 million that directly affected this community, I have a problem with that. And then I have a problem with those who then supported him and understand. He pulled that $1 million out, and until that $1 million come back, to me, it's gone. So you can talk about, right, it's coming back. It ain't back until it's back. So stop with the propaganda and the rhetoric. I tell people at the present moment, $1 million got pulled out of this community from a Republican governor, a Republican Senate, and a Republican Congress that was meant to help the disenfranchised, the poor, and the downtrodden in this community. I ain't watching what you say. I'm watching what you do.
Let me address Douglas Guidry. Guidry, you can hear me?
And before Brother Fatin, give me a second. You're right, Joe. I was worried about that $1 billion being taken away from Catholic services for the homeless. But the guy's are ultra conservative, and he did say that Catholic service is responsible for helping immigrants. So that was his whole stance, and his rebuttal was, tell me why you need the money again, guys. It's totally not off the table. And you can justify why you need the money.
Brother Guidry, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing, but it ain't back until it's back. And with that being said, Brother Fatim, and we got Dr. Griggs in the green room. We're going to hold him in the green room. Go ahead and say what you need to say.
So Douglas Guidry, hold tight for a minute, because on this one, my brother, I agree with you. You say that you may not even vote. You know why I agree with you, brother? Because I've argued with folks or debated folks on this before. I hear the stories. Our ancestors died for us to have the right to vote. For us to have the right to vote, meaning that we can go and not be abused and not to have our rights taken from us. But when we have two candidates, let's say I'm not going to just zero on here because I know what Biden has done. But if you have candidates out there that you don't feel is up to par, people, Joe, Jax, and our listening audience is tired of voting for the less of two damn evils. Okay? So, Douglas Guidry, I understand your frustration. I'm not going to lecture the brother and say, you got to vote. No, he don't have to vote because it's time to stop the BS. We in a two-party system. We are annotated. There's a lot of countries that have more than two parties. You understand? With two-party system, and just jump that down our throat and say, take this, and this is what you got. So,
Brother Guidry, thank you for calling in.
Yeah, so I wanted him to respond to that. Really,
I really
wanted him to respond to that because we don't talk about that. We push this narrative that we gotta vote. No, we don't have to vote if the candidates are not qualified.
And Brother Fatim, I like to bring that back, but right now I like to respect our great guest that is in the green room, which I'm bringing in, Dr. Griggs. We see you, my brother. How you doing? Dr. Eric D. Griggs, MD in the building. And here's why this conversation is big. We're about to talk about your health is your wealth, but understand, depending on who's in power in government can have a lot to do with what health services is available to you. I was getting ready to show something with Project 2025. I'm going to wait and do that probably toward the end. But ladies and gentlemen, let me give a round of applause and welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told, Dr. Eric D. Griggs, MD, better known as Doc Griggs. Doc Griggs in the building.
Good morning. I feel like I'm running out of a tunnel, about to do some layups.
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it.
What's going on, my brother? What's going on, my brother? How you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's good to see y'all again, man. I couldn't help but tune in. Listen, your health is tied to policy. There's no way that health cannot be tied to policy. People have their opinions they want to debate, and that's all fine, but I don't debate and talk with people unless they vote. There are very heated conversations and discussions that I've been in that have been shut down. Be like, well, did you vote? And they say no, and I just walk away. They want to fight, but I mean, if you're not going to vote, then you don't want to have a voice. You have to have a voice. If you don't like what's going on, and I'm going to pivot, I will pivot to health. When I work with students, I tell people that the problem with our healthcare system is it's community medicine. Like, what do you mean? Community medicine is 3 Ps. It's people, it's policy, and it's practice. The problem is that most of the time, the people, like the people we are on this phone, are not in the rooms when the policies are made. And a lot of times, the people that have the credentials to be in the room, like say you go get an advanced degree, or you do get an elected official, you do something to be in a room full of policy and power. A lot of times, once they get in that room, we forget that the same community that sent us here is the same community that we're supposed to be speaking for. And you're supposed to reach back and open the door. Every time you go into any conversation, any important policy room, you need to bring the community with you. If not straight from your heart or your head, because you might have thought that you're beyond the community and you want to move away from it. And it's the same people that put you in the place you should be. And I don't just mean elected officials. I'm talking about the family. I can't tell you how frustrated I get with some colleagues when we're trying to talk about things in health, and we say that you need to simplify them in a way that's not insulting, because it's not simplifying. It's health literacy is the fact that you're not exposed to the same long words that I'm exposed to that mean simple things. And my grandmother told me, if you can't explain it, then you don't know it, right? So a lot of times people will get mistaken because we're told we're smart for all of our lives, and we get these advanced degrees and these high positions, these titles, the whole nine. We think that we're smarter than the people that actually sacrificed to send us there. You will never be smarter than the people that taught you how to read, the people that taught you how to count, the people that taught you how to think, which is why, I also tell the students when I work with them is that you need to listen 5 times and talk once. If you listen to the community, all of the problems, and Brother Faith, that's how we met, is you were talking. If you listen to all the problems, the first day of med school, they say, 100% of the time, the patient will tell you the problem. And 80% of the time, if you listen long enough, not only will they tell you the problem, but they'll tell you the solution. You just have to listen. So the problem for the maladies in our communities are in our communities with our voices. And a lot of times, all of the time, our voice is our vote. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, let me just say this. So Dr. Griggs, that's my brother. and I'm not going to detour this detour this conversation. And I understand what he's saying because I'm part of that process. But I don't think when we have this conversation and when someone says, I'm not voting, I understand what you're saying. But now we have to start listening to people that say that and why.
Yeah.
Because if you look back in the primaries, the message to move President Biden to deal with Gaza more strictly and the genocide war that Israel is leveling on the people of Palestine was the non-committed vote. So they went out there and voted, but they voted non-committed. So what I'm saying is that when you are part of a structure that tends to work, but then you have people who are pushing one side of policy and pushing another side of policy, that's level-headed people that have their own direction they're moving. But when we start looking at the erosion of this country and the erosion of our politicians and the erosions of a lot of the foundations here, we got to start to say, wait a minute, when are we going to pump the brakes here? You're right. I'm not saying not to vote, but what I'm saying is we as Democrats, or forget the Democrat part, we as American people and American citizens, we got to make better choices. Not only better choices, but we have to groom better candidates. That's it. So to make what you say work, because the reason why we died for the vote, because the process, if it worked without the biases there, should work for the people. What I'm saying is now, when you look at a president or a candidate for president, but he's a former president, and you look at the policies that he implemented then and don't talk about now versus the policies of administration in there now, you're right, Dr. Griggs. A lot of the benefits that benefit to the people comes out of the policies of that administration and that what Congress decides to pass to push through. So I agree with you there. So we won't get distracted on that piece today, but we have to have conversation as how do we get better as a people, as a country, in a sense, because right now we're polarized, and we're so polarized, it's damaging and eroding the country. And that is something that is very dangerous. And that's what my concern is, because I do believe in the power of voting. And you know why I say that? Because when we say we're going to hold our vote, those that are against the rights, the things that we fought for, they understand the power of voting, because you never hear them say, I'm not voting. They go out and vote. So I do agree with that. I think we have to re-educate a lot of our younger people and some of our older people on the power of voting out there. But we also got to understand we got to groom better candidates out there to work for this country for us to be better.
So I don't want to move the conversation too much from the main topic, because I don't know if y'all picked it up. I put health. If I'm in the room, right, there's going to be health in every conversation.
Correct.
So this absolutely ties to policy. So back for the COVID pandemic, for the region, I was one of the faces publicly because of my day job. One of my day jobs. My day job is I'm actually the Associate Vice President of Community Health Affairs for Access Health Louisiana. We're the largest FQHC in the state. We have 62 clinics and 50,000 patients. I'm responsible for the people, the policy, the practice, advocating on both sides for healthcare and for the community, right, on both sides. Now, as part of that, an extension of that, and what I do in the community is for the last 11 years, I've been a health educator for our local Fox 8 News. I was on this morning. I'm on 5 days a week, on call 2 days a week. This morning, I was talking about stress laxing, which is interesting. I said the funniest thing about it is if you tell me I'm a stress laxing, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I want to do that. Yeah. No, but stress laxing is people, we live in such stressful times and we know that we're supposed to relax to the point that we can't be still and relax. And I did not go deep, and I feel like I'm in light company. We don't know how to relax because our kids lost the ability to play. They can't go outside and play kickball. I don't see no kids climbing no trees. I don't see nobody racing from pole to pole. Do y'all remember a game called It? You couldn't think about nothing. You couldn't think about nothing because you were fearing for your life. You don't know what was going to happen when they touched you. You did not want to be
it.
So I grew up in the country, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We used to go in the woods and hang out in the creeks. We used to climb trees. At one point, you were saying hide and go seek. You're like, everybody out of the tree. I don't know if kids can climb trees or do backflips or do cartwheels or do stuff. You have to be so focused and present, or count butterflies or catch ants, or you have to be so focused in the moment that you can't think about anything else, and it turns your brain off. So we have to. You're right. You just said we have to talk to the young folks, and we need to get with the older folks. Every time I get an opportunity to do an activity, I like putting with the older folks. I'm going to be a grandfather, so I won't say older. I'll say the senior folks. With the younger folks.
Join the club, Doc.
To teach them how to do things like double dutch. To teach them how to play slap. You know what do you call slapping?
Right.
Where you put your hands on hot hands. They call it hot hands. My grandmother and I used to play jack rocks, hula hooping, all the fun and things that, I mean, you see kids that look like they're in shape and they can't walk 3 blocks without being winded. It just doesn't happen. So we got to re-educate our communities again to start over from the most basic. What are our needs? Because just like you said, we need to ask why you're not voting. If you don't think you're being heard, let me listen to you. What are you trying to say? What's not being heard?
That's it.
Dr. Griggs. Dr. Griggs.
Real quick. The reason why I said I want to bring this in, because I just wanted to make that point. I wanted to go because I just wanted to address him and let Dr. Griggs respond to me. I wanted to go into something that he put out there, because one of the things that we got into the conversation was about sickle cell the other day, and I'm not going that direction. And on this show, we talk about hypertension, diabetes, and a lot of other things. But I came across something about what you were talking about, Dr. Griggs, that I think it affects more people than anything, and it's sleep inertia, or prolonged sleep inertia. Yeah. And I want you to talk about that to the folks out there, because a lot of people don't know what sleep inertia is and how a lot of us may experience it. But as you said, it can wear off. But the one that is prolonged sleep inertia, that affects people to process through the day. Could you elaborate? Because nobody has ever heard me say sleep inertia on this show. Can you go ahead, since you put this on your Facebook page? Yeah, this is a topic that I thought. So this morning I talked about stress laxing. Yesterday it was sleep inertia. And does anyone, well, if they didn't be quiet, does anyone up top know what sleep inertia is? Any? Jax, Joe? I mean, anybody? I do, but they right. I do. You done seen the answers in the book already. Yeah,
Right. Hold it. No, Doc. Hey, trust me. As a brother who has suffered from a great deal of health issues, and thank God I'm still here. Yeah, I've heard that word before, and I've had a long conversation with your good friend Dr. Patrick Moore about it. So I do know. Sister Jax, do you know sleep inertia?
I mean, I would presume it's something to do with, you have so much energy and inertia going on throughout the day. When it's time to sleep, you can't quite rest. Your brain can't rest and relax.
So this is my point when I talk about like health literacy, and we assume that people don't know. So naturally, Jack, you're on point in that it's sleep, but it's actually inertia. They use the term inertia because it's the buildup to your day. What sleep inertia is, that feeling you wake up. Imagine being jolted out of your sleep. You heard something, and you get up, or you have to go to the bathroom, and you get up and you're sleepy, you're groggy, you know where you are, and you're like, please let me stay like this so I can go back to sleep. Please let me stay like this so I can go back to sleep. It's your waking up. It's revving up that old 65, 64 Mustang and getting it going to get into your day. Now that can last. Normally it'll last anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, as long as 2 hours. That just groggy feeling, the brain fog. You ever get awakened out of someone wakes you up out of a good nap, like back in the days when we had house phones, you'd be asleep and that'd be post call, finally crashing, and all of that ring, or the pager would go, and you just don't think like you can catch up. Well, if you don't feel like you can catch up, if it lasts longer than 2 hours, if it persists more than 2 days, it can be called a parasomnia. Somni means sleep. Para means beside, like a paratrooper. The paratroopers are coming in to help. They're on the side. That makes sense. So it's a parasomnia. It's not quite hypersomnia. Hypersomnia is when you sleep too much, and that can lead to a lot of problems. It could be due to fatigue. It could be your thyroid. It could be diabetes. It could be obstructive sleep apnea. It could be those things that you just can't shake your head off. So sleep inertia is, so when I got to the station yesterday, one of the first questions the producers asked, they were like, Doc, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it's a thing. It's a natural thing. You go through 4 phases of sleep, right? Every 1.5 hours, you want to go through 4 cycles of sleep every 1.5 hours, and you want to get 4 of those, right? That's why you say 6 to 8 hours of sleep is the minimum you want. Does that make sense? The first 2 stages, you have your light sleep. Then you go deeper. You have stage 2. Stage 3 is a restorative sleep. It used to be thought that the REM sleep, which is stage 4, was the one where everything is being repaired, and that's where everything you're rejuvenating, but it's not. It's that deep sleep, stage 3. When you get to your deeper sleeps and you're awakened, you can really experience the sleep inertia. It throws off your circadian rhythm is interrupted, the whole 9. Things to do about it are get on a sleep schedule. That gets into stress laxing. We all go to sleep. I do. I'm better about it. I don't anymore, but I used to go to sleep with the TV on because of the COVID stuff. And then I would look at my phone to entertain myself. But making your bedroom your sanctuary for sleep, those blackened curtains or shades, pulling those down. What works wonderful for me, I wish I had it close by, is I wear an eye mask right now. I used to make fun of people with eye masks, but now I get it. That's why they never get, you know what, the people with eye masks, when I would make fun of them, they would never come back. They would just smile and look at me like, man, you just don't know. Eye mask to block out the light. The blue light from the TV can keep you up. The noise from the TV. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of, I will wake up in a sweat and tired because a movie will be on TV. I think was it Trading Places? One of those Eddie Murphy movie. Man, I was all in the movie. I was Eddie Murphy and I just woke up tired. But I'd acted out the movie in my sleep. Your mind doesn't know the difference between conscious and subconscious thought, which is why you have all these processes going on. Your body keeps going. Your body's on 24/7. Turning off all of that and focusing on winding down, making your sleep time. It trains your body. As you wake up in the morning, there's a gland like right between. If you could take my fingers and go like this in the center of my head between my eyes, there's a gland called the pineal gland. The pineal gland secretes a hormone that we all have heard of and know about. It's called melatonin. And it's based on the amount of light, ambient light, natural light that you take in, right? So as the day goes on, after about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts to put out more melatonin to wind you down. And about 3 hours before you go to bed, you're really starting to wind down. And it even affects your hormones. When you take your cholesterol medications, right? People with cholesterol issues, back when those that take statins, it's best to take them at night because that's when the enzyme conversion happens, right? About 3 hours before you go to bed, there's an enzyme called PFK1. It comes in on 3rd shift. It's like the coyote and the dog in the cartoon that would change shifts and dap each other off when they were leaving. Like, yeah, bread and butter. Yeah, PFK1 changes to HMG-CoA reductase, right, with the statins, and that's where those drugs work, right? What do? They take all the energy you take in during the day with PFK1 and metabolize to HMG-CoA reductase, and it turns it into fat. How does that relate to what we're talking about? Fat in the blood is basically stored energy as cholesterol or plaques that can lead to issues with circulation, can lead to issues with hypertension, can lead to issues with obesity, can lead to heart attacks, can lead to strokes. So it's important. Your sleep routine is important. Every time you wake up or don't get enough sleep, you're operating on stress hormones. Cortisol keeps your blood sugar up, and makes you forget because you're in that fight or flight. You ever get scared or in the middle of a class, someone will call you and say, "What's your name?" You're like, That's cortisol. Epinephrine is up. It's a stressful event to wake up in the morning. Your hormones are up. Epinephrine raises your blood pressure. So your blood pressure, your blood sugar up, you're not getting enough rest. What happens if you keep your blood sugar up and your blood pressure up for days and days and months and years at a time? There's 2 big conditions that you talked about. Diabetes, hypertension. So that's how all of this can relate to what's called sleep inertia. If you find yourself constantly tired, constantly struggling, if you work those odd shifts, talk to your doctor specifically about how to, working with the people at the news, the anchors, they have to get there at 2-3 in the morning, and they need to go to bed sometimes at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, which is very unnatural, which is why their sleep schedules, we should all live, to be quite honest, if you really want to live your healthiest life, Pretend that you work third shift and are working on your sleep, and pretend you have diabetes, because people with diabetes will never forget that they have diabetes. And all of the things that we're telling people to do if you're diabetic is stuff that we should be doing anyway. Eating a plant-based diet, getting enough rest, drinking enough water, portion size, foods, the whole nine. If you want to just really think about it, copy your diabetic friends in the way that they eat and the way that they live. The ones that are successful.
Dr. Griggs, I'm going to go to Sister Jax and give her some moments to ask you some question about, because really, man, I'm loving that you're here. Our health is our wealth. We need more people like you to give this content to folks, and you're just giving them a smidgen. So don't be surprised, brother, if I don't start begging you to come on a regular basis to educate our people on how their health can be their wealth. Sister Jax, I'll go ahead and let you ask Dr. Griggs a question.
Yes, phenomenal.
I'm gonna post every day now. I'm putting my topics up every day so we can have something to talk about.
All right.
Beautiful, phenomenal information. So I just want to go back to something that someone had mentioned in the chat when we're talking about politics and healthcare. What do you say with, the political climate that we have right now, and with healthcare, if certain programs are shut down and certain, maybe they can't see their primary care doctor because now it's no longer with the network, or however things change, what would you say to those people, how to prepare should some of those government funding streams get knocked away? How could they still get the care that they need? What should they prepare to do now?
So one of the first things they need to do is stay aware. And if, as I see, this is my first time here, if we're going to talk issues and talk about what's going on in the political climate, it needs to happen. There's a lot of distractions and a lot of noise out there right now to distract from the important things that are taking place, especially considering the fact this is a big election year. As far as health goes, now we'll step into it. Educate yourself. Ask the hard questions. I was on a call yesterday. I'm working on some international stuff with some folks in London and in France. And in London, they have the national healthcare system, which is kind of the exact opposite of what we have here. The healthcare is actually free. However, if you want to see your general practitioner, the visit's only 6 to 7 minutes. And trip this, those that have the means can pay to see a private physician and get more time. Think about that.
Yeah.
So it's free if you can get an appointment, and it's 6 to 7 minutes. Now, in contrast, it's 10 minutes. In contrast, the time here in the States with our system, the average doctor visit is 6 to 7 minutes of time with an actual doctor once you get in the room. The entire encounter is only 12 minutes. So what needs to happen? Well, that means we need to spend more time having educated conversations about health. And again, that's why the universe aligned, and it brought us together on a random conversation about Brother Peyton over here talking about an experience that he had, educating himself. It's not foreign concepts. I mean, we go to school to be specialists and experts in the guidance of the community and our people that we interact with and see, for them to be their best and for them to be as healthy as possible. And there's not enough time to translate some of the jargon and some of the concepts, because it's not intuitive that the way the body works. And once you learn it, but once you learn it, you have it. So it's education, it's awareness, it's real conversations, non-judgmental. If you have a teacher that you don't like in school, you say, Mama, I don't like that teacher. Your mom and daddy would look and be like, we need to put him in another class or her in another class, because y'all just don't vibe. My point is, if you have a doctor that won't take the time, or you can't get the information that you need, then move on. Ask for another one. We don't have only 4 to 5%, at most 5% of doctors look like us on this call in the country. But there are over 40,000 of us, and we're connected by the, like they say, the interweb. So there's opportunities to write down your questions. This is a plug for this show. Write them down, bring your questions here, let's answer them and talk to them about it until you can give it back to me. In the sender message receiver equation, it's supposed to be an equation of mutual respect, meaning that I'm not, just because I know the information doesn't mean for you as a person that I'm explaining to has any less value. So there's supposed to be a bidirectional arrow between the sender and the receiver, so I can learn and understand from you, and you can learn and understand from me, and we both walk away empowered. Does that make sense?
Amen.
Absolutely.
Brother Fatim, I know you got some things you want to share with Dr. Griggs. To be exact, I want to once again give Brother Fatim all the credit that they're at the 30th anniversary of the Essence Music Festival of Culture. The conversation began with him and Dr. Griggs. I'm so blessed that Brother Fatim connected me with Dr. Griggs. We're both in the same state. I'm headed to New Orleans in a few days to see Dr. Griggs face to face and have some real conversations. So, Brother Fatim, floor is yours. Go ahead and hit him with a question, brother.
Well, let me just thank you for that, Joe. And one of the things that we were talking about was with your assistant, and what's her name? I don't want to say her name.
Terry.
Yeah, with Terry. When I was introducing myself to her, and I just mentioned being a sickle cell advocate, which folks know that my late wife passed of sickle cell disease last year, and she said, "Hold it, wait. My son has sickle cell disease. He's 29 years old." And that's how the conversation started. And then when Dr. Griggs finished with his interview, he came over and she introduced me to Dr. Griggs. And then we had taken it from there. And then he got a chance to hear how I became an advocate and some of the challenges and the things that I stood strong on, because we knew we were not wrong. And it's not about your perception. It's about a reality. You don't get a do-over with a patient if you do something wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can cause a domino effect that can take a person's life. So that's how we got into it. And I'm not going to go into a deep sickle cell conversation now. We got September coming up, and then when Dr. Griggs come back, if he chooses to talk about, there's so many things to talk about sickle cell, from crisis to iron overload, when you get transfusions, so many things to talk about. So my question to you, Dr. Griggs, to piggyback off what you just said about the time that you spend with your doctor, I look at a lot of our folks in our communities, and a lot of them are on Medicare, Medicaid. And, you have these plans, and, when you choose this plan, you can't get out of that plan for 6 months to a year. When you pick a doctor, unless that doctor dies, it's hard to switch doctors. Mm-hmm. And that ties into the disparities that Black folks in this country face during the healthcare system. We've heard, and I've heard this not only from patients, but I've heard from doctors, that we seem to see how people are treated. For instance, we talked a little bit about sickle cell. We didn't go into the oncology part about cancer. That I've seen how a sickle cell person that is experiencing a painful crisis versus a person in cancer, they both experiencing chronic pain due to an illness. I saw the cancer patient would put on what is called a PCA pump. PCA pump, y'all, is where you have pain medication administered through the pump, similar to an IV. It's control how much doing versus time. But I would see the sickle cell patient, no, they got to get injections into their muscles. So I said, what's going on here? So I have to fight for that. So that's just to show you one disparity. But we as Black folks in this country faces a lot of disparities when it comes to healthcare. You look at our Black women. We have a problem with women that are having children. We look at the amount of Black women that tend to die during childbirth or after childbirth.
That number, 3 times as likely to die as their white counterparts. Mm-hmm. And then the number one at-risk group for Black women is educated Black women.
There you go. So can you talk a little bit? So I just want to build up there. I want to throw it to you, because you may want to zero in on a specific thing about dealing with these disparities, but it shows how we need to be educated. But even some of us that are educated, we still face the disparities in this country when it comes to healthcare. Dr. Griggs.
Well, one of the biggest things, that was a mouthful. I almost want to get up and clap.
Ring the bell.
And that's where I felt when we met, Brother Fatim. You are the perfect and prime example of what patient advocacy means. You need to go to the doctor and have someone with you. Sister Jack, if you don't mind, I'm going to be a little biased here, because I've been talking to a lot of Black men lately. We get beat up a lot. I was in the Suede room. We're talking Black men's health. They added that component, and I love it. I'm all for it. And that's a great way to lure us in. Beautiful women, food, air conditioning, haircuts, conversations that you might have in a side that I act like I'm not listening to, that I am listening to. We're pretty bad. Like black men, especially, but men in general are horrible when it comes to going to the doctor and having uncomfortable conversations and dealing with things. And I will say this, it's not our fault. I was reading in the chat, they said that the younger people, they react based on their experiences. If you think about the average 18-year-old that's voting for the first time, they were born in 2006. They've experienced things that we didn't experience as kids in an interconnected society. We've had the civil unrest. We've had George Floyd. We've had pandemics. We've had disasters. We've had unfortunate incidents at schools. We have at war. This is their reality from 0 to 18. So they're gonna react differently than we would expect, or we might like to, without some guidance and some. Right. Well, it's the same thing with men and black men. When we grow up, unlike our beautiful counterparts, every time that we go to the doctor, it's bad. Like I broke something. I'm sick. I had an asthma attack. You're going to give me a shot. I'm going to get a sports physical, and you want to grab me and stick your finger and tell me to cough without cutting your fingernail with them big cold hands. I don't want any kind of it. So when I get old enough and I go off to college, or I get into my career, when I get old enough, as a little boy, I say, I ain't never going to the doctor again because it's not pleasant. Well, for young ladies, it's not quite the same, because when a young lady becomes a young woman, she starts having what's called annual exams and wellness visits. So there's not necessarily anything wrong. It's uncomfortable, but there's a relationship and a bond built. It's very rare, especially when you see so few of yourself going to the doctor, that you'll find a doctor that men can get along with, and they usually don't go enough to be able to even doctor shot. What will happen is we go through our invincible teens and 20s, and we are invincible. I'm not going to the doctor because I don't need to. Only take me 2 weeks to get in shape, and I'll be good. Then we turn 30, and then things start to slow down a little bit. Whoa, wait, life happens, work happens, education, families happen, things happen in our 30s. We go to the doctor, and sure enough, we sit down and we have a blood pressure reading of 150 over 95. Like, I'm gonna let you calm down a little bit. It went down to it's at 117 over 91, 89. So you talk to the doctor, hey man, you're a little bit overweight based on your BMI scale. Your blood pressure is a little high, and I'm watching reading your blood sugar and then look at your hemoglobin A1C, and you look like you're pre-diabetic. So you're pre-hypertensive, you're pre-diabetic, and you fat. And I don't know you, and you think I'm gonna come back to you for you to disrespect me like that again? Look, man, give me 2 weeks, and I'll be good. I'm gonna do me some push-ups when I get home. I'm gonna go instead of drinking clear liquor, I'm gonna drink brown liquor. I'm gonna drink more water, and I'll be good. I ain't never going back to that doctor again. And then we go and we falsely support each other at the barbershop. Man, I went to the doctor. He told me this. He told me this. So we don't go back for 10 years. We put it off until life has really happened to us.
Stage 7.
Our hairlines tend to start wanting to retreat on us, and some of us have to do what we do. So we've lost our hair. Our image.
Some of y'all, not all of us.
Show off. So we go back to the doctor again because you start getting a headache. The sleep inertia kicks in and gets a little bit long. Our significant others tells us that, look, you need to sleep in the other room because you're snoring too loud. Our neck sizes have increased. Our shirts, we keep buying bigger shirts. And we say that's in style, like we're in the early 90s, like Allen Iverson with the Timbs and the baggy shirts. So we don't think we're too big. We go to the doctor and no, you are beyond overweight now. You are obese. Your hemoglobin A1C says you are diabetic. And since you're urinating a lot, we need to do a PSA and possibly do a DRE. And, in 10 years, do you have a history of colorectal cancer in your family? If so, we need to start having the conversations about a colonoscopy. So wait, you told me now you want to do colonoscopy. My prostate's messed up. You tell me I'm diabetic. I'm fine. Everybody goes to the bathroom a lot. And unfortunately, that's where it can end for some folks, because the next visit is a diagnosis of cancer, unfortunate diagnosis of peripheral vascular disease where you have to lose a limb, or a cardiovascular event. And that's our experience as men. What I'm proposing is that we need to start having Brother Fateems with us at an early age. When little boys go to the doctors, men, go with them.
Mm-hmm.
If you start making it a partnership before the Saints beat the Cowboys every year, and make it like you're training for football every year, we're all going to get our checkups. What happens is that journey, if you look at the timeline of our lives, that journey becomes a friendship. It becomes a bond. You have someone there with you to have your back as a child. And then as you get older and it's time for you to go as an older man, you have someone there to go with you as your advocate. And you can have those conversations about health along the way. So it's all about advocacy. It's all about education. If you can't remember because you're scared that you're going to hear bad news, and all of the buzzword bad news are the ones that stick, right? When you're in the doctor's office. My name is Eric, and I am the worst patient in the world. And I've been known to bully my doctors and say, we're not doing that. Why not? Because tell me the labs. Well, blah, 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 to get out of something I didn't want to do as opposed to something I should do. And it's also worked in my favor other times when I've been treated as though I'm not a doctor. And it's a shame that I should have to let people know that in order to get the best treatment. So it's all about having an advocate. It's all about asking the hard questions. Your health, all of the studies, just various in literature, the studies in public health are now showing that our health is now determined 20% by our genetics and 80% by our interaction with the world, where we live.
You said something just now that flew over someone's head. And, and if I have to prove it, if you ask me to prove it, I'll prove it. Right now, sitting on the bed, it's my blood pressure machine and my blood sugar. I'm in Baltimore. I don't live in Baltimore. I travel with it because even though my blood pressure is stable, I still travel with it and check it. I don't start my morning without checking. Joe has this thing with the blood sugar that he can, right there. You see what I'm saying? That's about being educated. Yeah. But you just said something that probably flew over people's head. It's the same thing when you get stopped in a car and I'm a detective, but I don't tell the cop I'm a detective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just said, why do I have to go to the doctor and say that I'm a doctor or a healthcare professional to get good treatment? And that's what I'm talking about, how at the end of the day, how certain people are treated. But we have to sometimes, I hate to say this, Dr. Griggs, that we have to use that card. Mm-hmm. Just like when I spoke that day to you. I swear on my life, I don't want to be a doctor. If I had to do it again, I still wouldn't become a doctor. That's not my forte. But since I became an advocate for someone, I took somebody's advice, and it was a young lady who was teaching the Lamaze class. She said, do not go into labor and delivery and don't know what emphasing means, dilating of the cervix. Don't know these words.
Come on, educate yourself. Educate yourself.
From the pregnancy point of view, but I'm advocating for somebody with sickle cell. Now I got to advocate because it's so many dimensions now there. So I had to educate myself on that. One doctor told me I read too damn much and walked out the room.
Wow.
I read too much because I scolded his ass.
Wow.
And I'm not arrogant with it, but I stand there. But Doc, you just said it. Why do you have to say I'm a healthcare professional because you know what they're telling you? It's the same thing if you go buy a car. I'm a car salesman. Let me just sit back and go with my cousin. They tell her this, that, and the other, and they know better, but they take advantage. You understand? They take advantage or don't take advantage of giving them the proper care and to go home and do things. Because a lot of doctors, not all doctors, they're not, the word I use that caught your attention is about preventive care.
Preventive care.
Because if you get into preventive care, then we're stopping or preventing other things to come down the line. Some doctors fear, well, I need this patient for the rest of my life because they're not a patient, a personal person to me. They are this to me.
That's right.
So preventive care, which Dr. Griggs, he clapped because preventive care helps us. I just said downstairs to a young lady about, eating certain things. Once my mother got high blood pressure, you give her a whole list of things not to eat. He didn't tell her that before she got that. Oh, go eat pork, go eat this, go eat the fat, eat this. But you didn't tell her that if you cut down on this, eat more live food, eat more of this, then it can help you down the road, especially if you have a history of hypertension, diabetes, and other things in your family.
That's
Sister
right.
Jack,
And
Sister
yes,
Jack.
and you know what? I love what you're saying, Brother Fatin, and also Doc Briggs. And so you talked about increased neck size, right? And weight. When we talk about obesity and weight gain, especially amongst the African American community, and as a woman, especially amongst women, I've noticed women, we are much larger historically now than we've ever been. And you know, naturally, some of the foods we eat and what's going on within our environment. But if you could give women, give us all an idea of what we need to do and some best practices to decrease our weight and you know how we move, because it does impact our bones and our just overall mental health, our physical health, and everything. So if you could just talk to us a bit about that.
So one of the first things that you should do is I want people to get their healthcare providers involved. I've lost 52 pounds since January under the supervision of my doctor. I took 1 million steps in the month of May. As I was just trying to help my mentee out, and he looked at me like I was old. Now they look you up and down like this, like, yeah, and laugh. Like, oh, I'm gonna show you.
Oh man,
Show you better than I can tell you. So I took the 2 weeks in April, and to get ready, and then I just started walking. It's not just about walking, but walking is one of the simplest things that you can do. It does everything. It addresses everything that we've talked about up until this point. It addresses the sleep, the stress laxing, and it addresses sleep inertia. Nothing makes you sleep better than playing hard outside. I try to use the analogy of, if you can remember going to, like, we would go to the public pool in the neighborhood, and we would swim all day. They would let you out for lunch, then you'd have to sit out after lunch for 30 minutes to an hour, and then you jump back in and you swam. Do you remember how hungry and tired you were when you got home? Do you remember how good you slept? There's no other term. Do you remember how good you slept at the end of the day? Yes. Our bodies are machines. We're made to move. What happens to a car if you let it just sit in the yard? You can spend all this money on a car, $70,000 for a car, and you just let it sit in the driveway, it's going to rot. Our bodies, and the everything will rust. You need to oil up the gaskets and all of. I'm not a mechanic, obviously. You need to keep it well lubed. It's the same thing with the body. Our bodies are made to move. What's happened is, over the years, you know, back in the days when we would work from can't see in the morning till can't see at night, with no snack machines, no water fountains, and no soda machines or cold drink machines. If you didn't have a mechanism to keep your blood pressure up and your blood sugar up, you died. Meaning, constantly keep your cortisol up, constantly keep your epinephrine up, because you didn't know when you were going to eat. You fell off. People ate. They took all they wanted, but ate all they took because they were working. Well, what happened is, over time, and that's back when we were brought here, right? So what's happened over time is technology has evolved. So now we don't just eat a big meal and get a break for lunch, which we evolved to get a break for lunch, and then a smaller meal for dinner, or a big deal depending on how hungry you are, but you stop because you didn't want to be sluggish, and your stomach would hurt if you ate too much at night. Well, here we are. We've evolved all the way to the point now that we think that, I'm going to throw this in, I have a different perspective on diabetes and hypertension. Rather than seeing them as maladies and they're bad, I see them as superpowers. If you watch any of the shows on Netflix, when the kids grow up, they might be mutants or superheroes, and their powers kick in.
Come on now.
Yeah. What happens is, the same thing in your body. Just because you're predisposed and you have the genetic history of diabetes or hypertension doesn't mean that the switch will be flipped by the 80% of your interaction with the environment that you will be diabetic. However, should it happen, boom, there's a way that we can control it. This is a survival mechanism. I was able to survive because I can keep my blood sugar up. This is a survival mechanism. I was able to, now they can flip the switch, and now I got to learn how to keep this Hulk in this body and being able to get it to interact. So I might have to take a hypertension pill. I might have to take a diabetes pill. I might have to do things to intentionally keep it in, like eat healthy foods, eat live food, shop on the perimeter of the grocery store. What happened to growing up in Winston-Salem country, but it ain't that country. Yeah. What happened to the fresh food, the fruit and the vegetables that used to come to the neighborhood? And we used to stop our football game to chase them, see if we can get an apple. We get apples.
Wow.
Live foods, real foods. People ask what are natural foods. The body is made of proteins, carbs, fats, water with a little salt, a little sugar to keep it moving, right? Keep things going, right?
Okay.
That means if we truly are what we eat, we should be eating proteins, carbs, fats. And if the body's 60, 70%, we need to drink water. We need to be focusing on being hydrated, eating, and our bodies will tell us what to eat. If you ever noticed in the summer, you want an orange, you want a plum, you want a watermelon, you want a pineapple, they're juicy. Proteins have water in them. Look up the amounts of water in your foods. But this is all part of the education, right? And not being afraid. The one thing that we're all experts on is food. We know what we like. If we go around and make a poll for everyone that's in the chat right now, I like this, I don't like this. And it could be, we could tell there are certain foods like celery. If you tell me it's the healthiest fountain of youth, it'll extend my life by 25 years, I'm not eating it because I don't like celery. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm not. And that's the same as going to the doctor and the doctor not listening when they're telling you, doc, I can't take pills. Is there a liquid? Can I get is there a pill crusher? Is there another form of this medication? I know it'll save my life, but I can't swallow that pill. Or, doc, you gave me this pill for my blood pressure and I'm not going to take it. Why? Because it makes me go to the bathroom all night and I can't go to the bathroom or I'm going to get fired from my job because I work third shift and I keep having to leave. I'm working security and I keep having to leave my post to go to the bathroom. And then I got reprimanded because I couldn't make it. So I tried to go behind this tree and now you won't fire me. It all circles back to the same thing.
Dr. Griggs, it is 11 minutes to the top of the hour. I would love to keep you on as long as we possibly could, but I'm going to do one even better. Brother, I got to make you a staple, a part of this podcast now, because this information you give is invaluable. So you and I are going to talk offline when we get off this podcast about some things. But before I let you go and before I allow Brother Fatima and Sister Jackson to give you the opportunity to give some closing remarks, please let everybody know if they want to follow you, if they want to follow your tips, if they want to get in touch with you, let them know how to get in touch with Dr. Eric D. Griggs, better known as Doc Griggs. How do they follow you on social media? Because, brother, you are giving invaluable information, and we need to have you on here on a regular basis, at least once a week, giving this information because our people need it. So go ahead and give us how we can get with you on social.
So on social media, I am Doc Griggs 1. It's the same on Instagram as it is. It's funny. I have it the same on TikTok. I don't TikTok. I'm not. Unless they start breakdancing. Eric Griggs on Facebook, but I'm also Doc Griggs, DOC Doc Griggs on Facebook. You can reach me in my DMs. That's the easiest way. I'm on every day on WVUE Fox 8 here regionally. I think that's Oh, my website, Doc Griggs, DocGriggsEnterprises.com. DocGriggsEnterprises.com.
Put that in the chat. Put that in the chat when we finish, Dr. Griggs, where folks can get with you, can get in contact with you. I'm going to let you have the final closing remarks, but I'm going to go first to.
I got a question. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, but this can save somebody's life. I think two things real quick, Doc. Sometimes the body gives you red flags, and sometimes it doesn't. We've heard that hypertension could be the silent killer, that if you don't check your blood pressure and you don't get a sign of a headache or whatever, your blood pressure could still be high and numerous things can happen and it can take you out. But then there's also red flags. I was almost 300 pounds. My neck became dark. My neck became, not only my neck, my underarms became dark. And my groin area became dark. That was diabetes. You understand? I was retaining water. I pressed my leg. It indent. That's fluid. I'm retaining water. And then I noticed when I would wake up in the morning, my pressure would be very elevated. So I'm hesitant to say this, but I'll say this. I went to my doctor and I told my doctor, listen, I switched my blood pressure. I had to tell him, but he has to come back and say no and yeah. I said, Doc, I switched my blood pressure medicine instead of the morning to the night. He said, why? I said, from statistics, most strokes happen more in the morning. They can happen anywhere, but most strokes happen more in the morning. My mother, 3 strokes, 2 in the morning. The second one was like a small blood clot thrown when she was in the ER. That went and what TIA or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So he said, that's interesting. He said, we don't have, well, at that time, he said, we don't have studies on that. He said, how has it helped? I said, it helped because when I wake up, it's not as elevated. He said, that's nice now, but if you don't rectify the problems, that's just putting a Band-Aid on a cancer. So that's when I realized walking. Doc just said it. I changed my diet, but I didn't go crazy. I cut out the Pop-Tarts. I cut out the ice cream. I cut out the intimate cake, all the in-between stuff. I still ate certain things. I walked, didn't run, didn't jog. I walked, and I lost the weight, y'all. Then I went and got a bicycle. Bicycle. I call it a bike in New York. Bicycle. I got a bike, right?
Because you over 42.
Even until today, you understand? I still have that movement there. My question, and I'm just trying to show by example, you all. Doc said he lost a certain amount of pounds. I knew I lost. I'm not. Last time I was at the doctor, I was 243, and I've lost more weight then. My leg, I've always had big legs and arms. I've lost it. Sometimes I look at my arms now compared to where they were, but I'm playing ball. A lot of people say because of my height, oh, you carry your weight well. And I'm blousing these 3X shirts back then. I'm blousing 3X shirts. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I was headed for the graveyard.
Wow.
I was headed for the graveyard. So, Doc, real quick, I said that just to say this. Is there any studies, even though we know that this is temporary, that you mentioned that when we wake up in the morning, a lot of times our blood sugar and our blood pressure is elevated. Have you ever diagnosed a person with hypertension to take their blood pressure medicine in the evening, that it wouldn't be so high when they wake up, that they can get their day going? Because once you start moving, things tend to regulate. What have you seen with this?
Well, what's interesting is that it varies with the patient and the medication. Each medication and each patient, each condition is going to be different, and each patient is going to respond differently. There are different types of blood pressure meds.
Correct.
So it depends. It really depends, and it depends on the cause of the hypertension. Again, if, like you just said, if you can get rid of the root cause, my platform, my mantra is get checked, get fit, get moving. Go to the doctor, eat healthy foods, go to the doctor, know your numbers, go to the doctor, talk to your families, eat healthy foods, and exercise. You just gave the perfect example, Brother Fatim, of what we would love for patients to do is to think. And you just had an educated conversation with your doctor specifically about your health. People forget that you are 100% in the driver's seat about your health, about something that you noticed. And, you know, I wish you could give me the name of that doctor that told me you read too much so I can have a word with him. I want everyone to read and have questions. The biggest thing is to have, if you don't know, now this might hit home for folks, you need to know how to pronounce and what the medications are that you're taking and why.
That's right.
And if they can't explain it to you, they might not understand. I won't say they don't. And if they won't take the time, I'll tell you this, it's 6 to 7 minutes with the doctor, but there's a space that we all neglect unless we're trying to skip the line at the drugstore and getting our meds. It's called a pharmacy consultation window. There are usually students there. They have people that are training that would love to sit and go over your medication with you. The pharmacy consultation line is one to talk about, why do you think I'm on this? What should I ask my doctor? So not only are you going in with your own questions based on your own due diligence, but you're going in saying, listen, I talked to my pharmacist about this med, and I was telling them this, and they explained that I might be able to try this. It's a mutual respect. Look, I've done my homework. Now, can you show me that you've done yours? And trying to coach a team of 6-year-olds in Latin to play baseball or football, you're not going to be a successful coach. So you need to find a way to reach your audience and reach the MVPs and the players in the game of life, and that's the patient. So the big thing is, first thing I always say, talk to your doctor, ask the hard questions, and the observations. Well, my mom had a stroke in the morning, my dad had a stroke in the morning. They were taking the same meds that I did. That leads to a conversation that I love to have, is having conversations in our family about our health. If you are on hypertensive, your parents are on hypertensive meds, ask them how old they were, ask them how big they were, ask them what they were eating, ask them where they lived, ask them what was going on in their lives. That's preventative medicine if you're young, right?
That's right.
It's preventative, and it's information informative that can change the way that you're treated when you talk to your doctor. If you say, well, my mom and my dad, and on both sides, they did this, and this worked for us. Other big thing, find out what any food allergies that you might have. I'm an allergic kid. I'm allergic to everything in varying levels, literally everything. My doctor just, and that's disappointing because based on the blood work, strictly following, I shouldn't be eating anything. I shouldn't have no problem losing weight. I should be able to gain weight, but I found it somewhere. Found something to eat, to be inflamed. Find out how you respond to the foods that you eat. If you have an allergy to one food, ask for an allergy panel or a test to see how you respond to all food allergies and seasonal allergies, because those processes, as your body works, just like you work, your blood pressure needs to be up when you're working. Your blood sugar needs to be up when you're working. If your body is constantly fighting an autoimmune response from foods that are triggering you, you don't know it, that might be the source of your issue. It can lead to digestive issues, sleep issues, and affect your overall health. One touches the other. Know yourself, get checked, get fit, get moving.
And one more thing, folks, a lot of the older folks say, I don't know how to use my cell phone and this, that, and the other. I go to the doctor, he does my blood work, and then when we have our another conversation, my blood work comes, it goes into my chart. I go to my chart on my cell phone, and I see my numbers. I see the graph. That's how we need to educate young folks. If you know that you have grandparents and aunts and uncles that are older, and you know this in and out, sit down with them, educate them so that they can have a more healthy and educated experience with their doctors by being able to get their numbers on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Well,
and older senior folk that have kids, grandkids. If you don't know, my challenge this week is to make them teach you how to operate your phone. Now, you don't have to be a master of it or be able to fully do everything, but make them teach you the stuff that you don't know. Start that this week. And the younger folks, just like Brother Fatin said, make it your challenge. And, we all need younger folks and older folks to sit a spell.
Say that again. Say that one again, Doc.
Sit on this couch.
Come sit down. We all need the younger folks and the older folks. The younger folks need to come sit a spell. Sit a spell.
Come on.
That is funny. Country boy. I love it.
So Dr. Griggs, I applaud you. Thank you for taking time out. I'm going to put you in a bad place, brother. I need you to commit to be here once a week, man, because we need what you bring to the people and the masses through this podcast to get them informed, educated, and motivated to be better people. And I appreciate you, brother. Me and you going to talk offline about that. I need you here. I need you here once a week, man, to have some real conversation.
Let's put it together. I'll be glad to do it. I enjoy it.
And so we got to follow through because I'm going to hold you to it. I'm ready to come down there to talk about sickle cell. Let's do it.
All right.
I'm here. Let's do it. Let's roll.
All right. So we're going to hold you, Dr. Griggs, to have some final comments. Sister Jax, give me some final comments, sis.
Yes, thank you so much, Doc Griggs. You did a phenomenal job. We truly appreciate you. I know our viewers gained so much information and knowledge from your words. So thank you. Thank you. Our resident doctor on staff, Dr. Fatin X. Thank you to also Dr. Fatin X for chiming in. You guys are awesome. To all of our viewers and listeners out there today, may you have a blessed day. Be safe. Show some love yourself, love others. Most importantly, always remember that health is wealth and wisdom is life. Have a blessed one. If nobody told you today that they love you, just know that Jax loves you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, Lord's will. See you soon. Peace out.
Brother Fatin, give me some closing remarks.
And like I said, thank Dr. Griggs. I'm glad to meet him. Looking forward to working with him. And great words, Sister Jax. Joe, great show. And like I said, blood sugar, my chart is on my phone. Blood pressure machine. You understand what I'm saying? You got to take this serious. You got to take this serious to make sure that you are healthy. And there's still some things that I still need to make sure and check on out there. You know what? I want people to enjoy this weekend. I'm not going to hit you with a lot of heavy things today. like Joe said, be better today than you was yesterday, and try to be a positive person and try to improve on things that you know you need improving on. Because you know what? I'm taking a break the rest of the day. I'm done. I ain't doing nothing more serious. No work. I'm on vacation for Reverend Sharpton show, open line. I'll be on open line by phone for the first half hour Sunday morning. No open line online show this Sunday. But folks, know that sometimes you got to give your body a break. You work all the time. You go. No, you go till your body breaks down. Don't allow that. Take some time for yourself. You understand? And people, please remember, and the doc can say this, you think that you're getting rest, and sometimes when you go to sleep, but sometimes that is not the proper rest, and we'll get into that down the road. The doc will be back, as his commitment to coming back. That's it. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Dr. Griggs, give us some closing remarks, my brother.
So I want to thank you all for having me. It's truly a pleasure and an honor. I look forward to seeing y'all every week. Again, know your numbers. Get checked, get fit, get moving, and do something for yourself this weekend. I know I'm going to take a long walk. I'm going to take a long walk today. And again, monitor your stress levels. Hydrate. Get checked, get fit, get moving.
Hey, that was Doc Griggs, family. Listen. Woo! I know that the Most High is doing something amazing. So all I can do is what I always do about this time. Be better today than you were yesterday. Do something today to be a blessing to someone somewhere. You don't have to know them. That there's no earthly way they can pay you back. No earthly way. And always remember this, that there is no secret, absolutely no secret, what God can do. What he has done for others, he will and he can do for you. For when God is with you, nothing or no one can stand against you. Y'all be blessed. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow is my wife's birthday. So I'm starting the celebration today as me and my honey do our vacation and get out there and start having fun. So happy birthday to Miss Danica Lynette Anderson. I love you, honey. We're getting ready to get out of here. We'll be back, Lord said to say, for Make It Happen Monday. Y'all have a great weekend. I just saw my grandbaby yesterday. All the people in Houston who are still suffering from no power, I'm praying for you. I'm believing, God, that power will be restored. Listen, be the best you can be. We out of here. Peace.
Always hope that you remember we never really learned the meaning of it all. What we have is strong and tender, so hold on. In the middle of the madness, when the time is running out and you're left alone, all I want is you to know that it's strong still, can pull us apart. Nothing can come between us. Nothing can pull us apart. Can come between us. Between us. I always hope that you remember what we have is strong and tender. In the middle of the madness, hold on. So it truly is a good thing, and I always wanted you to know there is always this, and this is everlasting. Hold on. It's about faith. It's about trust. about faith. It's about trust.